Hey everyone, Mr. MC here. This is a guide for round 7 of the GR Supra GT Cup. Let's get this started. Your first braking point is at the 100 meter mark. You brake hard for a short while, quickly ease off of the brakes, let the car make the turn as you slowly start to accelerate. We'll fast forward through this part in a second, or now. Bring yourself to the left side of the track and brake in between the 150 and the 100 meter mark. You'll be braking hard for a short while again. Be a bit more careful as you ease off of the brakes and slowly start to accelerate. You want to be as smooth as you can so the car doesn't start to do anything silly. As you turn in, ease off of the throttle. When you hit the apex, start controlling your braking power. Just slowly bring yourself into the inside of this turn and carefully get on the throttle. Now look for the happy little tree on the left as that's your turn-in point. Ease off of the throttle and carefully get back on it. Ease off of the throttle again as you go down this little hill. Do lots of throttle control, and then you'll do even more throttle control as you're about to make this left turn. Ease off the throttle before you reach the start of the curb on the right. Just do lots of throttle control as I said. Carefully get on the throttle, bring yourself to the left, brake before you reach the Audi R8 sign. You'll be using braking and throttle at the same time to keep the car under control at all times. Bring yourself to the right, apply a quick burst of braking, do not bring yourself too far to the left. Carefully get on the throttle. Bring yourself to the left, apply a little bit of braking right here. Bring yourself to the right and do lots of braking power as you make your way through this turn. Bring yourself all the way to the inside of the turn. Wait until the car is pointing where you want to go before you start to fully accelerate. We'll go ahead and fast forward through this part, and you want to brake pretty early here, just after this turn that we just passed ends. You'll be braking well before you reach the 200 meter mark. Just brake as much as you can. Carefully ease off of the brakes, just make sure the car doesn't start to slide around. Carefully get on the throttle, carefully make this right turn. Finally, bring yourself to the right, brake before you reach the 100 meter mark, and this is just like the first turn where you want to quickly ease off of the brakes and carefully start to accelerate. But that is all for the lap guide. Let's go ahead and quickly talk about the strategies. For the qualifying session, you're only going to have 6 minutes to try to get a good qualifying time. You're going to want to be as smooth as possible as you make your way through the outlap. So you can bring the brake balance all the way to the rear of the car, so +5. That way you can try to preserve the tire life of the front tires, since you obviously want to have as much tire life as possible so you can make these turns as best as you can. So when you approach a hard braking zone, you want to brake pretty early. Don't use all of your braking power, just try to be very smooth about it. Don't stress the tires out early on. Same thing goes as you go down the hill, just brake a little earlier than usual. Don't use all of your braking power, just try to be as smooth as you can as you make your way down this hill. And once again, do not stress out the tires. It's once you are approaching the final corners of the track where you want to start to push the car a little bit more. Bring the brake balance to 0, or in my case -1, just for a little more stability, and that is when you start to go all out. Just make sure you know where to brake and how to go about these turns to try to get the best qualifying time possible. And I do want to note that this is the only time where I have the brake balance at -1. In the race itself, I have it at +1, so that will be 1 point to the rear of the car for the race itself. And with this 6-minute qualifying session, you're only going to have 2 laps or 2 chances to try to get a good qualifying time, so make sure you make them count. Slipstream will also be pretty useful here since you have 2 long straights, so you want to try to be within 3/4 of a second behind someone so you can go a little bit faster. And if you are taking advantage of that slipstream, just make sure you brake a little bit earlier so you don't end up punting the car ahead of you or going off the track yourself. For the race itself, you have 8 laps. and you basically have to survive because this is looking like, once again, another no-stop race. So the tire wear is a times 16 and you have to drive absolutely smooth as possible, and you have to know what the heck you are doing because, as you're about to see here, I did not know what the heck I was doing and I ended up almost binning it. Instead, I end up cutting the course and get a 2.5 second penalty. So you want to try to be a bit careful as you go down the hill so you don't make the mistake that I make, or even worse. Smooth driving is essential to this race. You have to drive as smoothly as possible, no sliding around, no turning too much, just trying to be as smooth as possible to try to make the tire life last as long as you can. If you push too hard, the tire wear will start to kick in at around lap 4, and if you tire save, it is possible to push that back to lap 5 or even lap 6 if you're an absolute pro at tire saving. And once again, the key to this is just trying to be as smooth as possible at every single input, whether it's turning, accelerating, braking, letting off the throttle, letting off the brakes, just trying to be as smooth as you can. That way you should be able to get pretty consistent times, so you won't have to worry about going to the pit stop at all. Either way, I wouldn't suggest going to the pit stop, mostly because if you end up going to the pit stop, you get the tires changed, and if cars end up passing you while you're pitting, when you go back out, it's going to be difficult for you to catch up to the cars ahead. And even if you do end up catching up to those cars ahead, it's going to be difficult to try to overtake them. You basically need to get a perfect exit onto the straights and get the slipstream to try to make a quick, clean pass. The moment that you start to battle with them too long, the one-stop strategy starts to fall apart. And that is pretty much it for this guide. Once again, this is looking like another no-stop race. Just try to save as much tire life as you can by being absolutely smooth at every single input. And I know I haven't mentioned the fuel at all, and that is simply because it doesn't matter in this race. You don't need to fuel save at all. This is all about tire saving. But anyways, hopefully this guide helps you out. I wish you guys the best of luck in this race. I'm going to go ahead and sign off now. So this is Mr. MCA, wishing you a good race, and I'll see you in the next video.